Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving deep into something that's been making headlines. The financial struggles young adults are going through.
Yeah, it's a hot topic for sure.
We're looking at this Bloomberg Originals video, all about the economic realities Gen Z and millennials face.
Right.
And let me tell you, some of the numbers are pretty eye-opening.
Yeah.
Like, did you know Gen Z's debt jumped over 15% in just 1 year?
Wow, that's a big increase.
It is. So we're here to try and figure out, is this just young people spending too much? Or is there more to the story?
I think it's definitely worth a deeper look. There are some big systemic factors at play here. To really understand this trend, we need to break it down.
Okay, so let's start with something the video highlights as a major issue.
Yeah.
What they call the shrinking dollar.
Right.
It's not just about how much you earn, but what your money can actually buy.
Exactly. You've probably heard of inflation, but the thing is, it's hitting young people's buying power hard. Like, their wages might look higher, but when you consider the rising cost of living, everything's more expensive.
Groceries, gas, even your morning coffee.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
So those earnings are actually worth less.
And we're not talking about small change here. The video gave this wild example. In 2013, 22 to 24-year-olds were making almost $52,000 a year, adjusted for inflation.
Okay.
But today, that same age group is only making about $45,000.
Wow.
That's like a $7,000 a year difference.
It's huge. And that lost buying power, it affects their ability to save, invest, plan for their future.
Oh, they're already starting behind.
Yeah.
Has anyone else noticed their expenses going up faster than their income?
Oh, absolutely.
It feels like a common experience these days.
It is. And when you combine that with the crazy increase in housing costs, well, you start to see how young adults are getting squeezed.
Yeah, the housing situation is really worrying.
For sure.
The video calls it a housing squeeze, and that's not an exaggeration. Rents have gone up a crazy 30% nationwide since 2019.
That is insane.
It is. And remember, we just talked about how wages haven't kept up.
No, they haven't.
There's this story in the video about a young professional in Brooklyn who's spending over half their income on rent.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have a place to live.
More than half their paycheck.
It's not sustainable.
No, it's not. And we're hearing more and more stories like that.
Yeah.
This housing crisis is pushing young people to make tough choices, putting off getting married, buying a home, starting a family.
All because they're struggling to make ends meet.
Yeah.
How has the cost of housing affected your own financial decisions? Have you had to make sacrifices?
It's something to think about, and unfortunately the challenges don't end there. We have to talk about another huge hurdle for young adults: student loan debt.
Oh, that mountain of student loans. It's weighing down so many young people.
Yeah.
It's crazy how expensive college is these days.
It really is.
The video says the average cost for public university is over $21,000 per year now.
Wow.
No wonder graduates are starting their careers buried in debt.
It's a problem that's been growing for years.
Yeah.
And the impact is big.
It's not just financial stress. It's the emotional toll, too.
Definitely.
The video really shows that emotional side. They had this story about a young therapist who's trying to help others, but she's struggling with a six-figure student loan balance herself.
It's heartbreaking.
It really makes you wonder, is a college degree even worth it anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the right choice for everyone with these crazy costs?
That's a tough question a lot of young people and families are facing. What used to be a clear path to a better life, now it comes with these huge financial risks.
And it makes you think it's not just the dollar shrinking or housing costs or even student loans that are making things hard for young adults.
Right.
This video brings up something else, something they call doom spending.
Yeah,
It's kind of fascinating.
it is.
It's this idea that when people feel pessimistic about the future, they spend more on things they don't really need.
Exactly, especially when they're anxious about things.
So it's like the world's ending. Might as well buy those shoes I've had my eye on.
That's it. Like, they're looking for a quick fix because they're worried about the long term. The video had some examples that were really relatable. People spending on trips, clothes, gadgets, things that give you a little escape, a feeling of control.
When everything else feels uncertain.
Right.
And it seems like this doom spending is really common with Gen Z and millennials.
It is. The video said a big chunk of those generations admitted to spending more when they're down about the future.
Okay, so how many are we talking about?
Well, about 35% of Gen Z and 43% of millennials said they do this.
So it's not just a few people here and there.
No, it's a lot. And there's a psychological reason for it, this feeling of fatalism, of not having control, especially about money.
So it's like, if I can't control my financial future, I might as well enjoy myself now.
Yeah, kind of like that. The video actually mentions some research by Stephen Wu. He's an economics professor, and he found this link between feeling fatalistic and saving less money. If you think your efforts don't really matter in the big picture, you're less likely to plan for the future.
You're not going to delay gratification.
Right.
It's a tough cycle to break. You're stressed about money, you splurge to feel better, but then you're in more debt.
Exactly, and that just makes you feel even more helpless.
And we can't forget about social media and all the ads. It's like, buy this, buy that.
It makes you feel like you need to keep up.
It does. Young people are bombarded with images of this perfect life. Travel, clothes, the latest tech.
And you feel this pressure to keep up, even if it means going into debt.
Absolutely. It can make you feel like everyone else is living the dream and you're stuck eating ramen.
And then you have these buy now, pay later schemes that make it so easy to spend money you don't even have.
Oh, those are everywhere. And they're tempting, especially for younger people who are used to instant gratification.
It seems affordable because you don't feel the impact right away.
Yeah, it's like an illusion.
But of course, eventually that debt comes due.
It does. So we've got this perfect storm. The dollar shrinking, housing costs through the roof, student loan debt, this doom spending, and easy credit.
It's a lot for young adults to deal with.
It is.
What's going to happen? What can they do? Are there any solutions out there?
Those are the big questions, and the answers are complicated. But the video does mention that more and more people are saying the government needs to step in.
Okay.
Especially to do something about these rising costs and student loan debt.
It makes sense. These big problems need big solutions.
They do.
But even if policies change, young people still have to figure out how to deal with all this.
They do. It's a lot to handle.
It can feel really overwhelming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think knowledge is power.
Okay.
If they understand what's going on, things like inflation, the housing market, why they're doom spending, they can make better choices.
They can learn how to manage their money better.
Exactly. It's about facing these problems head on, not pretending they're not there.
And having a plan.
Okay, so just to sum up for our listeners, what are the key takeaways here? What should they be thinking about as they manage their own finances?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that this isn't just about young people being irresponsible. There are these big systemic challenges, and they make it really tough to achieve financial stability.
So we need to recognize those bigger forces that are shaping their financial reality.
Exactly. It's about understanding how the shrinking dollar, crazy housing costs, student loan debt, even the psychology of spending, how it all plays a role.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
It is. But if we want to find solutions, we have to acknowledge these challenges, both individually and as a society.
Right, we can't just accept this as the new normal.
No.
We have to push for change.
Absolutely. From our leaders and from ourselves.
And I think that starts with talking about money more openly.
Yes.
We have to break the stigma around finances, around debt.
Definitely. The more we talk about these things, the more we can support each other and find solutions.
Who knows? Maybe these conversations can even lead to some new ideas, some real change.
I hope so. I think younger generations are really creative and resilient. They're already adapting side hustles, minimalism, advocating for new policies.
It's inspiring to see. Gives me hope that even though these challenges are real, we can overcome them.
That's the attitude. It's not about ignoring the problems, but about facing them head on with determination, with new ideas.
Well, this has been really eye-opening.
It has.
We talked about the shrinking dollar, the housing crisis, student loan debt, even the psychology of doom spending.
Right.
It's clear that young adults are dealing with a lot when it comes to their finances.
There are. It's complex and challenging.
It is. But understanding the problem is the first step toward finding solutions.
Couldn't agree more.
So as we wrap up, it makes me wonder, what can each of us do to address this? As individuals, as a society? It's a big question. And I hope our listeners keep thinking about it, because ultimately, if we want a strong economy, we need to make sure all generations have the chance to succeed.
Absolutely. A very thought-provoking question to leave our listeners with.
It is. Until next time, keep exploring these issues, keep asking questions, keep diving deep.